So Caulette Jackson is a candidate for judge here in Baton Rouge, graduate of Southern University, graduate of LSU Law School, has Southern Law School, thank you very much, and has a law firm with your sister, identical twin.
Yes,
hence the twin stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that. Before we get into your candidacy for judge specifically, tell us a little bit about you, like where are you from and what led you to the path you're on now?
Actually, I'm just standing here as, mother, daughter, twin sister, and a wife, but I'm actually from St. Gabriel. That's where I was raised.
Yeah.
And then I was raised in Gardere Lane. So I actually lived in the Gardere Lane area, very humble beginnings, with a single mother due to a divorce. So we had this dysfunction. And that pretty much created my hunger for families, to help serve families and children.
So interesting. Dr. Harrison was here last week, I believe, to talk about the Gardere initiative. So that's just so interesting when I saw that. You know, I've had Judge Ron and Don Johnson and Ebony Rose on to talk about their path to law, and it's always fascinating for me to see people who choose that path, especially women of color, because it's so important that there's representation there. What's been the biggest lesson that you would say on your path to law, even before getting here now?
The biggest lesson is just being able to be persistent, to persevere no matter what. The difficulties, sometimes you have people will try to minimize who you are and what you can attain. I believe just the persevering faith that I have as a minister of the gospel, as well as president of Gardere Initiative, it was instilled in me very young that it was not how I started, it was how I finished. And we have to work our way up. And so I think it was just that persevering faith is what pushed me. That's the lesson that I got before I went to law school. It took me to persevere, to run a law practice for the last 17 years with my twin sister. It took us to persevere. And to do it without having to get so caught up into different things. We just stayed our course and we stayed true to ourselves.
I mentioned this to John Couvion earlier about and I mean this as a compliment, the lack of toxicity in the politics this cycle. But I watched the way that you operate and you've engaged this, and you've kept it extremely classy.
Yes.
And that's a reflection of you and your campaign. What has been your method of engaging with voters to make certain that they see you and they want you to represent them?
I just keep it 100. I'm very transparent. I actually go to the voters. I believe that people know who you are. Finances could be a restraint for some people, but if you get to know the people and allow your character for who you stand, be who that is, and they know who you are. And so what I did was I take and relationships that I've established over the years, and I allow that to pour out into the community and let the community know that I've been committed prior to this politics. And so this is not something that I'm just doing because I want some vainglory. But because it's an assignment, it's a purpose, and I work for this. This is something I believe that children and families deserve. They deserve someone that's going to be fair, that's going to have a concept of justice with compassion, that's going to deal with strengthening families, and that will be fair to all parties. That's mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandparents. And so that's who I am.
It's interesting because being a candidate for judge, the politics of running for judge is very different than running for other offices. The things you can and can't say, the style of politics, and obviously this is your first real foray into this. How did you react to how you had to, because you want to be authentically yourself, but then there are some restraints on how you do that. Tell me about that.
Oh my God. As a running for judges, you have the canons that you have to watch. Canon number 7 is one of the major ones. So you have to watch your tactics, you have to watch what you say and what you don't say. Also, you have to, and I think it aligned with me anyway, but I would want to get a little aggressive sometimes when people do some things. But with that being said, I just stay true to myself. I remember who who I represent, as well as my kids. I have children. I don't want them to see that I can do it with class and integrity and not have to go side doors to try to get a vote, but to go directly to the people, trust that the people will know that their vote matters, that they're going to get out and vote, that this is not a race they need to sleep on. They shouldn't be silent on. And I understand they say, well, the big ticket items are no longer on there, but I will encourage everyone to go out and vote.
No, I believe in that. I mean, I don't miss votes. No such thing as I'll pass on an election. I mean, that's not an attitude that helps. I've been impressed watching your campaign and just the way you conduct yourself with voters. And for me, we need more of that. So in this last minute, tell people why you believe you're the best candidate.
Well, I could tell you why I believe I'm the best candidate, because you know what? I feel like I was built for the bench, actually. Let me tell you why. Because my life in itself started very low, started from the bottom. And for to see myself know that it took education as well as getting out there and saying I'm gonna start my own business, and to persevere through over 17 years. I've been through it, overcome the dysfunction that I want to be able to make decisions over. So it's easier when you have someone that has been healed from the situation, that can see it from all perspectives. So when somebody come in that courtroom, they're gonna know that I don't see them just as a litigant, I see them as people, and I see their issues, that what decision I make will cause that they can trickle on to the next family. So strong families matter to me.
Twin for the win.
Twin for the win. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, thank you, Twin. Let's talk about the Elvin Howard Pancreatic Cancer Foundation's event coming